Welcome to Fangs Out. This is your host, Frank the Vamp, and we keep counting down to the best horror movie of 1980. Last time we talked about The Fog, and that was number 3. So today we get to talk about number 2, and this was very hard because this movie should be number 1 in any list. Except there's one movie that's so amazing that it's actually, in my eyes, better as a horror movie. We're talking today for number 2 as Dressed to Kill. Brian De Palma's masterpiece. Oh, you can call Carrie, his masterpiece, but, or, even Scarface, but there's some magic about this movie. Before we had Basic Instinct, before we had The Silence of the Lamb, I think we had a little inspiration here from those films. Call me crazy, but this movie is fantastic. I mean, where do we begin? The thriller, amazing story and mystery behind it, which, by the way, I dare not to spoil. I will not spoil it. Most people, I imagine, have already seen it, but if you haven't, don't worry, you can watch this safely. I'm not going to mention, because this is a little bit of a whodunit here. The cinematography is amazing, starting from the unbelievable, Angie Dickinson in the shower, which, by the way, is a body double. I read. I thought it was her for a while, but it's not. And we have, she's not the only beauty in this one. Nancy Allen with those amazing eyes and everything else amazing, yes. And of course, the acting we cannot mention this movie as our star Michael Caine in one of his best performances. As Dr. Robert Elliot. In more on that later. And also we have Keith Gordon. Remember Arnie Cunningham from Christine? He's here, playing a role here. And the story, takes us the sexually frustrated housewife, played by Angie Dickinson, is pretty much desperate for good sex, and she's not getting it, not enough. Usually, having a lot of sex drive is not a problem unless you're married and you can't get anything. So, yeah, she's really frustrated. She's trying to talk to this psychiatrist about it. She even comes into this psychiatrist played by Michael Caine, and she tries to seduce him, but he rejects her advances. Leaving that frustrated, she goes into a museum where for 4 to 5 minutes, we have one of the best, scenes in the museum. There is no dialogue, okay? There's 5 minutes with nothing is said, but there is so much sexual power in those 4 to 5 minutes, which leads to Angie Dickinson's sexual encounter with a stranger. That amazing, one of the best shots ever seen. And there's shots like that all throughout the movie. More on that later. Here's where something's gonna happen to the character of Angie Dickinson, and this is pretty much, I guess, because I have to spoil something. There's a crime committed, okay, and the character by Nancy Allen sees this crime, and it's amazing. However, due to the angle where she witnesses the crime and the fact that she plays a prostitute, you know, so nobody believes her really. People have, if you're a prostitute, you don't have much credibility in life, especially being 1980, right? And there's where, from that point, a mystery develops, a murder mystery develops, and the police and a relative of a person that has been killed help out to see who the murderer is. And we have a lot of suspects, including Nancy herself, and we have a transvestite patient of Michael Caine who, leaves nasty messages in his machine saying that, he's really angry about the fact that Michael Caine wouldn't sign his his psychological evaluation, and he's not psychologically fit to be for gender reassignment, which that kind of throws me back to the Silence of the Lamb with Buffalo Bill a little bit here, and that's a prime suspect right there. The sexuality of some of the shots are amazing. The brutality of some of the murders. The murder in the elevator, it's one of the more brutal carnage I ever seen. I hardly ever go to the barber, but I have lately, to get a clean shave. I usually just do it myself. The sheer brutality, because I'm afraid of straight razors. I always use, those disposable ones, because those, your throat cut, it's a feeling I never want to experience. And this movie, like I said, some of the shots, the ending, oh my God, very reminiscent to Carrie's ending. You gotta see it to believe it. It's a masterpiece. I think this may even be better than Carrie. It'll be tough to decide. If you would put a gun to my head, I would say Carrie by a little tiny bit, but this is amazing. There's only one film that can top it. Which one is it? Stay tuned for the next two videos, because I will be talking about the honorable mention, some movies in 1980, because there's so many great horror movies in 1980. Some did not make the list, and I'll talk about them. And also, finally, the number one horror movie of 1980. Stay tuned. Love this film. Love Dress to Kill. Watch it.